Hello and welcome to Technology Made Clear. This is how to use Excel, the basics part 2. So before we start, can you please make sure that your YouTube video settings are set to 720p and that will give you the best quality video to look at, so that will make that clear for you. And today we will be looking at averages, the round formula, manipulating numbers, formatting and conditional formatting. Okay, so previously in Excel the Basics Part 1 we had some sales over your staff, and that's what we did. So we started it from scratch and we had your staff members down here on a weekly basis, working Monday to Friday, and then they had their sales showing on a weekly basis. So there you can see Mark's weekly sales were 97, with the total sales on a Wednesday were 273 there. So as you can see, we use formulas here to do that. If you didn't do that video, please take a look at that video, and that will go from the basics, the very basics. So from there we want to add a few more figures to the spreadsheet so we can get some more information out of it, because at the moment it's only showing us how many sales a person did on any particular day and how many sales are done over the week, which is great, but we can get more out of that. So a good thing would be is if we could add some averages to see what the average sales were on a Monday, for example, or the average sales over the week for a member of staff, say for Jenny. So to do that, first of all, we need to put some, we don't need to, but it's always best to put some a field data name here, so it explains what the information is going next to it, as it does there. So if we just put average daily sales, and we put there average weekly sales. Now as you can see, that is, the text is going over the cell. We'll deal with that later, so don't worry about the fact when I start typing in data here you won't see that all, okay, because later we'll be looking at formatting. So from here what you would do, you want to equals, always equals when you're going to use a formula, and it's average, and then open brackets. Now again, there's many different ways you can do this. What we want to do is do the average of C, and it starts at 5 to C10. So you could type it in, you could do C5 colon and then, sorry you can't see that, C10, and you can see it highlighted. You can do it that way, that's absolutely fine. Another way of doing it would be to use your cursor key on your keyboard, just to go up and colon down. You need to make sure you don't include that daily sales, because that would completely mess up your figures. That's one thing with Excel. It's great, but if you do formulas wrong, it's not necessarily going to tell you you've done them wrong unless you've done a totally incorrect formula that doesn't make sense to Excel. So that formula makes sense to Excel, but we know we don't want C11 on there, so you just need to be very careful when doing formulas. And another way is if you just simply use your mouse and drag and hold down your left key to where you want to there, and again it just does it for you, C5, C10, close brackets and do return, and there you go. It's given us average daily sales for a Monday, and we want it to go across to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday as well. So as we says there, the best way of doing that is just to move your mouse to there, go across to Friday there, and then we want to do average weekly sales. So again, equals average, and you want to get in the Friday, go down, there you go. So there you can see it's done the averages for you. Now, having the average sales is great, but without having targets to go against, it doesn't really give you any information. Now, obviously, the targets will be what you decided to set. You may set targets for a daily target. You may set a weekly target, which essentially, as long as your daily targets get there, your weekly target's going to be the same, so it doesn't really make any difference how you do that. But you might also do a target for your members of staff. Now that may be different on their experience, so someone who started who's new, possibly you wouldn't give them the same target as someone who's been at your company for a few years. That wouldn't seem really fair. So that's a good way of getting the target, the information back to see if they're performing. So you've got your average daily sales. The only thing we do before we go on to targets, as you can see, it's got the average daily sales from Monday is 31.83333, which is fine. It just means the average is, it can't split into just a total number. Personally speaking, I wouldn't want that, and you might not want that as well. So a way around that would be if you go to the formula at the top here, at the equal sign, type in round and then open brackets. Now you'd normally put a number that you wanted to round, but our number is the actual average formula here. So we know this average and all of this already brings back a number. So that's what we're rounding. And then from there, if you do a comma, and we're going to put 0. And what that 0 means is we want it rounded to 0 decimal places. And if you close bracket, hit return, and there you see it's put it down to 32. Because we've done round and we haven't used, there's also the function of using round up or round down. We're using round, and what that means, Excel will decide whether it rounds up or rounds down depending on the figure. So this one here, that should round down to 35. 45.5, I would imagine Excel would round that up to 46, but if we drag this across now, we will see. Yeah, there we go. So that's rounded them up there, and you can do the same with these here. So this is a good way of showing that you can put a formula with inside a formula, because another way of doing it, you could have gone equals round and then select what you want to round, comma 0, and that's giving you the same back. But then the problem with doing it this way is you've got your average weekly sales and then you've got your average weekly sales rounded, which is not really what you'd want. You'd want it all to be done within this one figure. So that's why you can just put a formula with inside a formula, which makes it easier sometimes. So round, the end, comma 0, and then close, and that's rounded that up for you, and then go down to there. Okay, so now we need to put in what the your targets would be. So you'd have possibly a daily target. So daily target. Sorry, I'm typing very well today. And then you would have also a weekly target. See here, it looks like this text here is part of this cell here. It's not. It's just that it's there. You can see that it's this cell here, and this is just to do with the length. Double click that, it would get rid of that confusion for now, but then it looks a bit awkward, but we'll look at that later. So we'll leave it as that for now, even though it doesn't look that great. Let's move that across a bit, and then we want to do weekly target. Now the weekly target is obviously going to be based on the member of staff, because you've got the staff member's name there going down, so this is going to be giving them their weekly target. The daily target, you can't base that obviously on staff, it's not possible because you're basing it on the day. So this is your daily target there. So let's say, for example, the daily target for sales is 180, and that's for everybody to hit that. Now, as you can see, I've just typed in that on every single cell, but obviously there's a much quicker way of doing that, and that is just to type in 180 once, getting your cursor, holding down your left mouse key, dragging across. There we go. And now your weekly target for weekly target over the week for an individual, if you've got to do 180 sales on a daily basis, would be 150. And then just double click, don't know what's about them there. So I've said 150 quickly there. That's because I know that they add up to 900. To find out if they add up to 900, you'd normally do a calculation. Well, let's do it here. So we will know 150, that does add up to 900. So we could do equals sum, open bracket. Sorry, I don't know what I've done there. Equals sum. There we go. That's 900. Okay, and this will also be 900. But if you want to work out what a figure is of a few numbers without actually putting a formula within inside the spreadsheet, because it's not necessary at that time, you can just left click and drag across the numbers you want to select, and then at the bottom here it's giving you your sum 900. So that's fine. So to get 900 weekly sales, it would have to be every member of staff would have to hit over the week 150 sales, and over the every day you'd have to get 180 sales. So there we go, we've got that there. And now you need to see if they've hit those sales. So the way to do that, target met, you could possibly put, you would do equals, and you do the sales, daily sales, take away the daily target, and that's been met. And you just want to drag that across there. As you can see here, Friday we've got a problem, and this is because people are not working on a Friday. It's coming up to the weekend, they're too busy chatting and they're not spending much time on the phone. So straight away this shows you how you can using an Excel spreadsheet gives you the information back so you can see where the problems are. And then here we want to do target again, so it's your weekly sales, take away your weekly target, and there we go. Now this figure is giving you a sum of 3. Now it makes logical sense that this figure here should also give you a sum of 3 down here. So if we check, there we go, yes it does. So here straight away we can look at by having this average daily target, target met, you can see where your weaknesses are and where your strengths are. So Mondays, it's a bit, you don't sell as many as you do on a Wednesday. Maybe people, you know, Monday, first day back at work, they're not performing as they would do. Tuesday it picks up. Wednesday is the biggest day for sales. Thursday, it does, yeah, it's fine there as well. And then Friday obviously is not very good, and that's on over the whole team there. And then here it would give you the information back for each individual. So the weekly target is 150, so every member of staff is going to get 150, and it shows you there that some have not met that target, and that's them there. So 3 have, 3 haven't. You may decide that some people have got lower targets, so put them to there, 100, but then if that's the case, someone else would have higher targets to meet your 900 sales a week. But we'll leave it all as it is for now. Okay, so what we're going to look at now is just to make this a bit prettier looking, because at the moment it's a bit not very nice to look at. You've got these cells here, they're all different values, different spacing there. It's a bit horrible. Now the problem is, if we drag that down to there, we miss a lot of the field, so that's the problem. If we highlighted all of these, did that, you'd still get something that doesn't look very good. So these headers here are quite big compared to the data what's below them. So the best way to fix that is here, you want to make this a larger cell, and that then means what you can do here, highlight them, right click, format cells, this sometimes takes some time, click on alignment, and then wrap text, and that will wrap the text around the cell. And what that means is, whereas before when we dragged this down, it cut it off, now it would wrap it for you. There you go, and that's why you need to make that bigger, because if you left that like that, it would still wrap it, but you wouldn't see the text because the cell's not big enough. Just make that down a bit like that. And we did this for this one as well. Now the thing is, because you've wrapped it, that's fine. And that one there, yeah. The only thing is, I would say personally, and this is just a personal thing, when you've got numbers like you have here, ideally I think it's best to have all the cells the same size, because Wednesday just makes it look neater. So the best way to do that is to highlight them all, and then we can see there that Wednesday is going to need the most because of the Wednesday is the biggest name. So if you highlight and then just go like that, and then that does that for you. Puts them all into order. Average weekly sales. Okay. Again, with the text, the data still looks a bit messy. You've got their sales, maybe change that to weekly sales. If you highlight over all of the information here, and then up the top, go at the ribbon, go to home, and then here, this will allow you to put lines around each cell, and there's lots of different options. The options I want is this one, all borders, and that will put a border around every single cell, and it just makes it easier to see your text, so as you can see straight away. Also, maybe you want to add a bit of colour to it. So here, again, you're in home, and there's the paint bucket that will change the back cell colour. Maybe put that to a nice blue, and then the names down the side here, maybe put them on a nice sort of salmon, sort of reddish colour there. Okay, so that's made it look a little bit prettier. Also, what you may want to do is, it's difficult to see where the staff data stops and the formulas start. So there's a few ways around that. You could, for example, put them as bold, which shows that they start there, which is perhaps a good way of starting it off on your formulas, but then the rest is formulas as well. So what I tend to do is, if the information is formulas and not actual data that you enter, I tend to put that on a very low grey background, and that also stops people accidentally typing in to themselves as well. Now what we're going to look at now is conditional formatting. So that's just formatting cells generally speaking. Conditional formatting will format the cells depending on the data. So on here, for example, we can see that there's an issue with Friday sales. It's well under target, and we can see here that there's some members of staff which is under target as well during the week. Now at a glance you can't necessarily see that, so there's a way of doing that. You can do conditional formatting, and it's the target met where we're going to do the conditional formatting. So if you just highlight the cells where you want to do the conditional formatting like that, and at the top go to data. I always forget where conditional formatting is. It's in one of these ribbons. This will happen in Excel, don't worry. This is a day-to-day occurrence. I'm not sure if it is under data validation. No. Okay, conditional formatting. Here we go, it's on home, so it's on the home ribbon. Conditional formatting. Now, you don't want to click there, you want to click on the arrow down, and we have data scales, highlight cells, greater than. We're going to have a greater than, less than. We're going to have a less than. So go to less than, And then bearing in mind we've got all of them cells that highlighted, so it will conditional formatting work for these cells here, and it will be, if it's less than 1, then it will light with red. You can change this to whatever you want. You can see the only cell here is this one, but because it is underperforming, which is not nice to put it, but yeah, the red makes sense. So put it back to the light red field. And then what that should do, if we just do this as cells, change the formula, if you put that as 1, it shouldn't put it as red, but if you put it as 0, it does put it as red. Here we want to do the same here, target met, conditional formatting, highlight cells, less than, and it's 0, we'll go to red, press OK. But we also wanted to show maybe if anyone's overperformed. So we know if they get to 0 they've done fine, but say if they do more than 20 cells of what they're supposed to do, we'll see that as an overperformance as well. So if you highlight the cells again, conditional formatting, highlight cells, but this time do a greater than, and if you do a greater than 20 and change that to green, do the same here. Maybe here do greater than 30, so conditional formatting, greater than 30, and change that to green. And then that automatically lets you see where people have done pretty well. So you've got green means they're doing great, 14 doesn't mean they're not doing good, just means they're not overperforming, and obviously that you've got an issue on a Friday, and you've got an issue with these 3 members of staff here. Okay, so that's it. That's the end of Excel to Basics Part 2. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please subscribe for future videos and press the like, please. And that's all great. Okay, thank you. Bye.